Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. And, surprise! The mouse tried to grab him. I'm not restarting the video, I'm already done. So, surprise! Doing the Star Trek movies. Yeah, it's a surprise to me too. So trying to figure out what the next franchise should be that I do. I thought of doing a smaller one, like the Never-Ending Story. But I'm like, eventually I'll do those. As I'm looking through my franchises, I felt something boring itself through my head. And that was the Star Trek movies. And when we talk about the first one, oh, boring is the correct word. But, yeah, so we have the Star Trek movies. 13 of them. I may cut it in half and do the first 7 of them. And then the last 6 later. But we start with Star Trek: The Motion Picture. A movie I've now seen twice. I bought the 4-pack of the first 4 movies from Walmart years and years and years ago, and I watched the first 2. It was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to watch the other 2 that were on there, which was 3 and 4. I always intended to, never got around to it. And then I bought this collection a few years back and was going to do a review series on it. Started the first film, and I got to the first long tracking shot and said, fuck this. Because this movie is not just boring, it's notoriously boring. Because, honestly, I've heard people say this, and I firmly believe that it's true. This seems like it was a regular TV episode stretched out to fit over 2 hours. And when I say stretched out, there are scenes where it's just like this. Are you getting bored yet? Because that's what a lot of scenes are. And they just sit and they rest and they don't cut. And you just see this straight on shot forever and ever. That's what it is. If you knew you didn't have enough to fit the over 2 hour runtime, don't make it an over 2 hour movie. I mean, the second one they learned the lesson is under 2 hours long. And so you look at the run times after this. Okay, so you have Star Trek 2, which is 112 minutes long. And that's under 2 hours. Star Trek 3, 105 minutes long. That's even shorter. Star Trek 4 is 118 minutes long. It's a little bit longer than 2. Star Trek 5 is 106 minutes. That's shorter. And Star Trek 6 is 113 minutes. When you get to the Next Generation era, you have Generations, which is 117 minutes. First Contact is 110 minutes. Insurrection is 102 minutes. Nemesis is 116. But then you go back to the longer run times with the remake trilogy, with the 2009 Star Trek being 126 minutes. Into Darkness is 131 minutes. And Beyond is 122 minutes. But these 3 have enough in them to justify the runtime. There's stuff going on throughout the film. This one? No. There is so much. And there is stuff you can take out. Like, when the movie starts, first of all, they use the wrong theme. Because the movie starts, you get the credits and you hear da 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 da, and they play it throughout the film. The problem is, that was the theme song to The Next Generation, not this Star Trek. And this came out in 1979, which I think was technically before The Next Generation. The Next Generation was in the 80s at some point. But still. So did they use it here first and then switched it over to The Next Generation? The Next Generation was 80s. I didn't look up the year, but I don't know. Because I didn't think about this being before that, but, you know. And there are certain things you could have taken out. Like Spock not being already on the Enterprise. Why was it even necessary? You know, they say he's going for the Kolinahr, which will take out his emotions. But he doesn't do it, and is going back to the Enterprise. But there's a whole subplot. There's a whole little thing here where you have... He's on Vulcan. There's another Vulcan science officer that's supposed to be a part of it. And he doesn't do anything because they're beaming... their transporter is broken, so when they try to beam him and another one on board, it doesn't work and they end up dead. Resulting in them having to use Captain Decker, played by Stephen Collins, of Seventh Heaven, and I'm not going to address the controversy with him. Let's just move on. But he's not the last Seventh Heaven cast member we see in these movies. I'm just saying. But, he's the captain, but being as they found something in space, Kirk has to be the one to be involved, so he takes over and demotes him to like second in command or whatever it is. But then, when the science officer is killed, he takes the science officer's job, and then later Spock shows up and takes the science officer's job back. And you could have just eliminated all that little bit of time, throw it out the window, and just have Spock already be there. Because the whole Kolinahr thing, whatever, doesn't go anywhere anyway, because at the end he's just like, oh, I already, here's he. So, I don't know. It's just a waste of time. I mean, there's less shots where they just sit there. And they sit there and they just, like, the tracking shot where Kirk and Scotty are going to the ship. It's just one long, and then you cut to another. I'm just like, and they summon Bones, and he's dressed for disco with very fake beard. And you have all the characters on this ship eventually. Kirk, Spock, Bones, Scotty, Chekhov, Sulu, Uhura. The one blonde chick who I know who she is, but I can't remember her name. She's on there for a little bit. She's not big enough. And then there's one thing. I'm just going to say this now, because it's really a nitpick, but I don't like the fact that they don't wear the uniforms that they did on the show. Spock, for a little while, has a blue shirt, but then they just switch around all movie. And like, you're sitting there, you see there's this new captain, as I mentioned, Commander Deckard, and you're wondering why he's still around. What's he doing here? He's contradicting Kirk. His only job in this movie, for the most part, is to contradict Kirk because he's the new captain and knows the new Enterprise better than Kirk. so he's more qualified. So he's got to keep butting in. Like there's a scene which also only serves to slow the film down, where they go into hyperdrive, but it's messed up and they end up being in slow motion. And he orders, Kirk orders Sulu to fire phasers, but Decker tells him to belay the order and instead tells him to fire photon torpedoes because there's the new system. The phasers are linked through the engine, which may not be good to do that. So, engine or hyperdrive, whatever. But Kirk didn't know that. You think he should have, got information from him. He was only there to contradict him because the plot says that he's the captain and knows more Kirk. But again, if you took Decker out of this film and just have Kirk be the captain, you wouldn't need that and it would save some time. However, due to the plot point at the end of the film, we kind of needed Decker. There's this bald alien chick on the ship who at one point gets taken over by this alien entity. And at the end of the movie, and we find out that she and Decker had a romantic interest, but they don't. Like, I understand she's an alien, but even aliens would talk like this. He says hi to her, and she's like, I have a vow of celibacy, Captain. I'm like, he just said hi. I know you used to date, but you just said hi. If I say hi to you, that does not necessarily mean I want to fuck you. Okay, ladies, if I walk down the street and I go, hi, I don't expect you to jump my bones or throw me in bed or... No, I just say hi. It's just hi. I'm not implying anything by saying hi. That's all it is. Hi. I don't understand. I wouldn't mind you would jump my bones, but permission first. I'm just saying. It's been a long time. My son was 2. He's 10. Long time. Long time. Anyway, so yeah, they fuse together because this V'ger wants to fuse with a human. It's a conscious machine with a thinking mind, which they also find out is actually the Voyager 6, a space shuttle ship sent out 300 years earlier. And it now has a conscious working mind somehow. And they fuse and then that's it. And they just say, let's go. That direction. Yeah. Literally, that's what he does. He's like, warp speed, Mr. Sulu. And he goes, directions, Captain? Out there. That way. That's what he says. Some coordinates, Captain. The acting, for the most part, is pretty good. Except for Shatner and his Spock. I mean, come on. There are points that I'm like, he has to know by now. Like, in the original series, which I've watched a lot of episodes of, it wasn't that corny. But since then, even before this movie was made, people have pointed out how corny Shatner acts. And I think here he's well aware of that. So he's not afraid to get a little hammy with it. Spock. Every time he says his name is different. Spock. 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 It's so corny. But it's not a bad movie. There are legitimate points. If you took out all the long ass tracking shots and some of the unnecessary scenes, I think you'd have a legitimately decently good film. As it is, though, if I'm gonna watch a Star Trek film, I'm gonna watch one of the Abrams movies, First Contact, because I remember that being pretty good. And of course, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, before I even try to watch this. In fact, as far as I remember, you could watch Star Trek II and not even need to watch this one, I don't think. I mean, I might change when I watch it, but I'm just saying. I know 2 and 3 are connected. I don't know about any other ones, but I know 2 and 3 are connected because Spock dies at the end of 2, and then they have to go look for him in 3. I don't know. But, yeah. So when it comes to Star Trek The Motion Picture, I'm going to give it a middle of the road. Because there are some good parts. I can't just say it's not worth your time. It's a middle of the road because there are some good stuff. Acting for the most part is pretty good. Special effects are pretty good. The score, even though most of it just reuses the dan in different styles, I still like that song. And the point where the score is actually pretty good. But yeah, it's a middle of the road. Very simply, middle of the road. So what are your thoughts on Star Trek The Motion Picture? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.